Have you ever wondered why it's so incredibly easy to get excited about learning a new skill, but then almost impossible to actually stick with it? Well, today we're going to dig into the science of why we quit. And more importantly, we're going to talk about a super simple mental push that can actually build up your willpower so you can finally see things through. Let's get right into it.
So does this whole scenario sound just a little too familiar? You buy the guitar, you download the language app, you sign up for that coding course, and for about 2 weeks you are absolutely on fire. And then, poof, nothing. The guitar just starts gathering dust, and that app goes completely unopened. Well, it turns out there's actually a name for this cycle.
Yep, this whole cycle has a name, and really, just understanding it is the first step to breaking free from it. We're going to call it the Dabbler's Dilemma.
So, what is a dabbler? Well, it's basically someone who lives for that honeymoon phase of learning something new. They absolutely love the thrill of starting, but the second that initial excitement starts to wear off, they're already looking for the next shiny object. And look, it's not about a lack of passion, it's about what happens in our brains when that passion stops feeling so easy.
That exact moment when you feel like quitting, it has a name. It's called the plateau. This is the point where all those quick, easy wins you get as a beginner start to slow way down. Things stop feeling so new and exciting, and they start feeling a lot more like work. And this right here is the exact moment that most of us just give up.
So why? Why does this plateau feel so incredibly demotivating? The answer, it turns out, isn't some flaw in your character, it's actually all about your brain chemistry. So let's take a little peek at what's really going on inside your head when you try something new.
You see, when you first start a new activity, your brain gets this huge chemical reward. It's just flooded with dopamine, which is the neurotransmitter that's all about motivation and pleasure. This is precisely why the beginning feels so amazing, so addictive. You're literally getting high on learning.
But here's the thing. Your brain is smart. It adapts. And as that activity gets less and less new, that dopamine reward starts to shrink. Scientists have a cool name for this: reward prediction error. Basically, your brain was expecting that big chemical party, and when it didn't get it, you experience what is essentially a dopamine withdrawal. That feeling of, ugh, this isn't fun anymore, that is a real, measurable chemical event happening in your brain.
But what if you could actually fight back against that chemical dip? What if willpower wasn't just some vague moral virtue, but an actual, physical part of your brain that you could train? Just like any other muscle.
Okay, allow me to introduce you to the Anterior Midcingulate Cortex, or let's just call it the aMCC. Neuroscientists like Dr. Andrew Huberman from Stanford have actually pinpointed this specific brain region as the physical home of your willpower and your grit. And here's the most exciting part. It behaves exactly like a muscle. The more you work it, the stronger and bigger it literally gets.
But, and this is the most important part, here's the key to making it grow. You can't strengthen a bicep by lifting something that feels light and easy, right? Well, you can't strengthen your aMCC by only doing things you already enjoy. This willpower muscle only grows through resistance. It grows by pushing forward at the exact moment when every single fiber of your being is screaming at you to stop. And this brings us to what might be the most important mindset shift of all. It is time to stop blaming yourself for quitting. It's not a character flaw, you're not lazy, you're not undisciplined. The science is telling us it's a biological issue. Your aMCC, your willpower muscle, is simply untrained. And of course, anything that's untrained can be developed. Okay, so if it's a muscle, how do we actually train it? What's the workout plan? Well, it's a really simple, actionable system called the 15% push. The entire system boils down to this one simple number. And no, we are not talking about pushing for another hour or even another 30 minutes. We are just talking about 15%. This small, totally manageable number is the secret to building your willpower without ever burning out. So here's exactly how it works. The next time you're practicing that skill and you feel that all too familiar urge to just stop, don't try to fight it or ignore it. First, just feel it. Second, acknowledge it. Literally say to yourself, okay, yep, there's the resistance. This is my brain wanting to quit. And then third, just commit to doing 15% more. That's it. If you were planning to practice for 30 minutes, just do an extra 4.5 minutes. If you're going to do 10 math problems, just do 1 or 2 more. That tiny, almost insignificant feeling push, that's a single repetition for your willpower muscle. You can think of it as one little rep for your aMCC. And just like going to the gym, these small, consistent reps, they add up.
Over time, they physically thicken the neural tissue in this part of your brain, which makes it that much easier to push through resistance the next time.
Honestly, this simple system is the difference between being a perpetual beginner and actually achieving real competence. The dabbler is a slave to that dopamine withdrawal, quitting every single time they hit a plateau. But the polymath, the person who seems to master multiple skills, they understand that the plateau is where the real work and the real growth actually begins. They use that resistance to build their willpower muscle, 15% push at a time.
So the science is clear, and the system is about as simple as it gets. The only thing left to do is to actually apply it. So think about it, that skill you've been putting off, or that project you keep avoiding. What will you push 15% more on today?